starting by the illiterate peasants with no prospects. The three approached the group and stood there, participating in that important conversation, which for many only served to increase the confusion in the minds of the people. But this was how, gradually, it was possible to change the mentality of mujiks like Iulián Sumarokov. The party served as a prelude to something very important that was beginning to happen in the soul of Mayra, the blossoming of a woman. Her hard experience, alongside Nicolau, joys that she couldn't explain it herself. Every moment near him, a new emotion. I wanted to comment on this. Feeling with Christian, with Katienka, but she felt ashamed. She loved Nikolai, not as the loved him before, but in a completely different way. The feelings I had for him never would be the same as those he felt for Christian, Pavel, and Iulián. Those days were, for her, the realization that between the two of them there was something strong, unusual, capable, to sweep them away to a joy never before experienced. Shyness was being replaced by closer, and the whole family realized they were in love. Their affectionate and polite, the fact that they were always together, eye to eye all the time, made it clear that a shy romance had arisen between the two. Kostya had also noticed the idol and saw in that relationship his great ally in achieving, with his daughter, if she wanted to follow him. Sumarokov couldn't stop her. Vladimir encouraged the boy, encouraging him to take her to St. Petersburg. There was her place with him, her real father. I wish Iulián would let him take care of his daughter a little. After all, he had so many children, and now a new one. Son on the way. Who knows, maybe a girl would come. 71 saying goodbye to the past. Encouraged by that hope, the next day Kostya wanted to see again the place where he had deposited Mayra. At birth, it was a farewell that her heart longed for, as if there she could explain to her daughter everything, the love that was in his soul. Mayra had not yet approached him as a daughter, treating him with respect, with a certain reserve that hurt him, while he longed to have her cuddled against him, chest, take her for walks, protect, in short, her only treasure. The poor man waited patiently for the right moment. He had already managed to get Iulián to move closer to St. Petersburg, and his heart sensed that his suffering was coming. At the end, he did not criticize the discreet courtship of the two brothers. Nicolau and Christian would convince her. His conscience told him that he should not force her to accompany him or demand her love, branch which belonged to Sumarokov. Coincidentally, Christian and Mayra wanted to visit the same place, to catch the last blues of the forest, before the peasants came to turn the land for a new wheat plantation. The trip was arranged. The farewell to the beautiful fields, to that horizon that they had admired together so many times. Sometimes, dreaming about the future, everything changed in their destinies. The spirit who in that existence went by the name of Sasha accompanied the group with the greatest care, helping her beloved, wishing him happiness. She went to meet him at the farewell, on that stage of pain, when together with him as being also struggled in the shadows of anguish and despair, until that greater understanding had made him realize that only time, the divine remedy that heals the pains of the heart, could relieve them of such cruel fate. His spirit accompanied them to the flowery meadows. Kostya could not remember, in his entire life, feel peace like that, not even when he discovered his daughter, so similar to his own, and wanted her to be with him. Wife. His grandmother was still oppressed by worry about the future. She was ashamed of the sudden interest that she had awakened in him, desires of the vulgar and lonely man. He wanted his daughter to, called him father, treated him as affectionately as he did Sumarokov. He felt that the future belonged to him, together with the being that Sasha had left him to brighten his laborious and solitary life. If not, had been the ideal embraced by the Mudjuks, perhaps he was dead in his great solitude. That girl, sweet and gentle, innocent and beautiful, was his daughter, and he didn't have the courage to hold her in his arms, touch her hair and say to her, "Dear daughter, I am your father. Accept me as your own." The longing for her. Sasha calmed down as soon as she found her, even though she didn't know she was her poor little daughter. Abandoned. It wasn't his fault. If he had known her past, he would never have asked her to marry him. He felt the Onada Sasha next to him, as if she were there on that walk, or perhaps had also come to say goodbye. The longing for having lost her still hurt in his chest. Where would your dear soul be there? Would she be there following your steps, listening to your thoughts? He was certain that one day he would meet again and beyond, but it was up to God and only him to decide. Creator allowed them a new reunion. Death did not destroy the bonds of the spirit, but he asked himself tormented, when, my God, will I see my love? And time was silent, and the voice of God seemed to mock their suffering, as the tender flowers seemed to play with the wind. The ruined hut still stood there, defying time, as if waiting for the end of the story to then collapse, collapsing with the storm of which it was the mute and silent witness. Its walls spoke louder than the most eloquent words. It was a farewell. 72 treasure of my soul. As if the scene were unfolding before him, expanding his vision of spirit, Nicolau turned his eyes to that grabado, where he was moved inexplicably, much more than Kasla or herself. Mayra, overcome with joy, politely asked, "Leave me here for a while." It was in this very place where my spirit once came to find the treasure of my soul, he said, not caring what anyone thought of him. Kasla walked away, while Christian went to pick the flowers for the sister. Mayra was taken by the same feeling, united in the same effluvium, closely followed Nicolau's emotion, an emotion that also belonged to him, like a link that transformed him into a single person. Mayra seemed like a vision, such a beautiful and beloved creature. She was not his sister, but the soul of his soul. Soul of my soul, how I sought you, knowing you were so close to me. Beloved angel, never. I want to be apart from you. These words seemed to find an echo in his heart, as if he had heard them once in cold autumn dawn, lulling his soul, his whole being leaned towards Nicolau, as if between him and she, the separation never existed. I have always loved you, more than anyone, Nicolau. I have always been with you, and you never wanted me, as a sister. Now I know what was troubling us. You wanted me for yourself. We needed to feel brotherly love, overcome difficulties together, unite our dreams and achieve the happiness that awaits us. Soul of my soul, Mayra, will you marry me? Yes. Now nothing stops us. They seal the encounter with a sweet kiss, uniting their hearts that were already promised, and linked by the eternal law, the law of the celestial attraction of souls. If we were brothers by material bonds, what would you do, Nicholas? I would still love you as a woman, but always accept you as my sister. Loved. 73, Father. Ikasa returned to the hut, worried about the delay. Seeing them entwined, he cleared his throat. Already had understood the boy's feelings towards his daughter. He supported that union as solution to their purposes. Happy to see their dreams come true, he congratulated them. My daughter. It was the first time he treated her like that. I did everything so that you would be happy. Come true. You will make your choice. Your home in St. Petersburg awaits you. Mayra timidly let go of Nicolau. It seemed that the whole earth could not contain her. Fortune, and away from Sumarokov's stern gaze, she can expand her affection and filial tenderness that he awakened in her heart, confusing her. Father, at that title, Latimer shivered with emotion, wanting at that moment to hug her, even. So he waited for her to continue, but the sound remained like a harmonious note in his ears. Dad, he repeated to get used to the sound. Let me first prepare Papacha, then I will go to St. Petersburg. Let's hope that his and Katienka's child will be born. My separation would be a huge blow to him. When the child is born, he will be entertained by it, and we can think about us. I will go with you, willingly, Father, because my destiny is with you and Nicholas. Kasla's happiness was very great. His daughter compensated him for all his suffering. He repeated silently to himself, "She called me father." He remembered a phrase from Fyodor Dostoevsky, the Russian writer, whom he greatly admired, and repeated aloud, "My God, a whole minute of happiness. After all, Isn't that enough to fill a whole life with happiness? Man, hands intertwined. The two lovers left the Isba as if they were leaving the tunnel of time, with their souls filled with promises and vows of union. For several centuries they tried to unite. In this incarnation, destiny had brought them together as brothers. Even so, nothing would be worse than living apart. Both had a great mission to accomplish, and were grateful to fate for granting them the good fortune to be more than brothers, souls intertwined for infinity. Christian, seeing them holding hands, looked at Mayra in surprise. His brothers had gone crazy. Nicolau, very clever, had taken his place in her heart, but soon received the news that they were going to get married, and the surprise left him silent and stifled, as if he were not part of that rapture. With hands full of forest blues, offered them to her sister, very embarrassed. Like a fairy, Mayra broke the brother's spell. You will always be my greatest love, my beloved little brother. But Christian didn't want to play games with anyone, and walked ahead without looking back, jealous of that relationship. A new blow shook Sumarokov's soul, who did not agree with that union for him. Incestuous. That union was definitely not appropriate. It was necessary for everyone to speak a little in their heads. Mr. Alex, Kosla, Katienka, and Pavel approved of the marriage. Only he opposed the couple's happiness. Little by little, involved with the change, the mujik began to accept the facts that he did not have the strength to face. To change. 2 months later, Nicolau and Kostya would return and accompany their move to the farm. Before the child was born, the site was a jewel, very well planned, the soil enriched by a small stream. The peasant would have the rest of his life to plant, harvest, raise cattle, reindeer, and other animals. Weeks after they were installed, a beautiful girl was finally born, with fair skin, red hair, blue eyes like theirs and very similar to their mother. They named her Arma in honor of their late wife. It is unnecessary to weave the happiness of the couple and everyone who witnessed the scene. Months later, when Katienko was strong and the girl was relaxed, Mayra, elegantly dressed, she went with her father, her fiancé, and Christian to St. Petersburg, promising to return soon. His father and Katienka stood waving their hands, watching the rich carriage disappear over the horizon. So many children raised, and now we only have one left, said the father, making paths and playing with the little doll that was kicking on Katienka's lap. Anachka, my Anachka, Matuchka, Rochester to Taba, M.G. Spring 1998. 74 soul of my soul. Oh, soul of my soul, how often I have sought you, how I have sought you. For you I descended into the infernal abysses. I searched oceans, meadows, prairies, paths. I climbed immense mountains and traveled the entire cosmos. I moved heavens and clouds, and finally I found you. Yes, I found you in the freezing dawn, in a hut lost in the corners of the world, moaning on a cot. Pain, when you began to emit the first moans and feel the breath of the cold night. Oh, fragile flower of my dreams, you seem to have forgotten your divine paternity. But very close to you I found myself, vitalizing you with my vibrations. It was you, my poor child, being born into the inhospitable world of human evil. No one to listen to your innocent cries. But I heard you, soul of my soul, and here I am to offer you all my love. Who made me find you? I don't know. Don't ask me, winged heart. Was it divine providence? Yes, that led me to you. Centuries and centuries have passed since I last saw you. Why did you separate from me, adorable creature, locking me in the cell of longing and torment? Did you want to punish me? Wasn't it enough for me to live deprived of your presence? What happiness I experienced when I heard you releasing your first moans and forcing your tiny lungs. Don't you know your destiny? You are a child, a tender sprout abandoned in a dark smoke and hidden from the eyes of the world. But I found you, love of my life, and now, God willing, I will never be apart from you again. I promise you, yes, I promise you, even if such promises seem vain to you, the important thing now is redeem myself and offer you my alliance. I come to you, sweet fairy, nest of my dearest memories, hope of my life and light of my redemption. Forgive me, my fearful and lovely being, for without you, everything is desolation, pain, and longing. I will redeem myself from the sad woes you suffer for me. I am your destiny and the breath of your life. I swear to be yours forever, my beloved angel. Nicholas Nikolai Sumarokov, Spirit,